Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. Okay, so here we are for another week of fantastic questions. We've got a lot to get at today. We'll get to them in just a moment. But before we do, don't forget the YouTube magic. Like, share, subscribe. There's a very, very important role that you play in the Kendo community. By doing that, you can increase the Kendo population by capitalizing on the resource that is YouTube. They have a crack team of ninjas that goes out. I think they're robotic ninjas as well, or mutant ninjas, mutant ninja amphibians. Anyway, they go and they find people who are about to start Kendo, just on the cusp of starting Kendo, and they show them videos to get them to start it. But they have to be activated. They have to be notified that is their job, and the way to do that is you have to go down below. You have to like the video and then subscribe to the channel, and then there's a little thing and you click that and the little bell appears. That's called notifications, enable notifications, something like that. That notifies the ninjas to go out and do their job, but so they know what they're looking for, you have to put a comment that uses the word Kendo, like what a great Kendo video, or something like that, in the comments. And then they go and do that job. I'm pretty sure that is how it works. That's not what, like, it doesn't say that. I think it's a secret, so don't like tell loads of people. But I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And we've got like, last year, there was like 6 million people that almost started Kendo doing that. So we're trying to get 7 million to start doing that, starting Kendo this year just by doing that. So make sure you do it. And I'm pretty sure that probably that will work, right? So do that. And then, most importantly, if you like the videos that I do, if you like the content that I put out, if you enjoy these things, and they're all free, I'm not asking you for any subscription, I'm not making you pay for subtitles, none of that sort of stuff. It's all free, all there to help you, okay? We've got these Kendo rants where I answer your questions. We've got feedback videos. I did a feedback video yesterday where I look at footage that you guys have sent over. We watch it together, we all learn. I have instructional content where I'll talk about specific aspects of Kendo. My contact lenses are really bugging me. Specific aspects of Kendo, and teach them via YouTube as well. And I have analysis videos too, where I'll look at Kendo matches and analyze them. I did one recently of one of my own matches that I participated in Japan last year. Go and watch that. It was called Kenkaku. That was a real fun match. So yeah, go and look at those things. And if you like them, then the way to support us is by shopping at KendoStar.com. KendoStar is the best Kendo equipment website in the history of the human race and the future of it as well, in the universe, galaxy, Milky Way, solar system, multiverse, everything is the best. It's the best. You get the best Kendo equipment, you get the best service, and everyone agrees with me because we're the highest rated, all right? You're going to shop with us anyway. I know there's pretenders popping up left, right, and centre. They want to do what we do, but nobody can imitate the real deal. Okay, we've been running a long time now. We're a proper outfit. I'm not some guy running it out of my bedroom, all right? I'm not just a middleman either. I'm not somebody who's sort of just buying from some random company and then sending it on with no real responsibility. All of the KendoStar stuff that we deal with, we are our own brand, okay? So the Boga, the uniforms, Shinai. Of course, there's some stuff that we don't necessarily manufacture ourselves because it's not necessarily something that we could specially manufacture, but we don't, you know, our sort of shtick isn't just being a middleman. Yeah, we are an established real brand, all right? So you're getting the best equipment, you're getting the best service, everyone will tell you that, okay? And you're supporting the channel at the same time, all right? As the ancient Japanese proverb, samurai proverb. I think it comes from Confucianism, you know. It might have been Sun Tzu or something like that. But it goes, everyone's a winner, baby. That's the truth. So, shop at KendoStar.com. Let's get to these questions, okay? Let's get to the questions. YouTube stuff, KendoStar, right? So remember that, okay? I know I never usually say this sort of thing at the beginning of videos, all right? Or maybe it's your first time watching, all right? So you need to be reminded, yeah? Andy, thanks for another great Kendo video. There you go, see, this person knows. You truly are an expert. Well, now you're going too far. The two questions were kind of Kendo Geek. I have say your kachi set is amazing. I have to say your kachi set is amazing. Okay, and super easy to care for. I'm struggling to find a reason to need another Kendogi and Hakama set ever. It looks so good for a synthetic set. Yeah, it does. The kachi set is really, really good. I know it is synthetic, so maybe not the best for like high level gradings or stuff like that. But if you're doing like Ikkyu, Shodan, Nidan, Sandan, you could get away with it. Come on. You're doing Yondan and above, probably best to grab yourself a cotton one like the Kurenai. But if you're, you know, if you're doing the standard grading of sort of Shodan and around that level, you know, you're okay. My camera's out of focus. There we are. Okay, now we're back. Okay, so this camera does not like focusing on me. I don't know what it is, but I'll come back into focus in a second, I'm sure. Right, here's my question. I have a dojo mate who seems to strive for Tsubazariai. When he does, I feel he's trying to turn his body to lean into me with his right shoulder. Not long ago, they changed some Tsubazariai rules, and they don't want you to get to stay in Tsubazariai, if I'm not mistaken. As a younger grade, we're both below Nidan. Should we be avoiding this? I try to stay more centered and to feel the push and pull of it, almost like a judo concept, to know when to attack him. Then try to make an attack and get out of it as soon as possible. Is this the right idea, you think? 2. I have a somewhat interested Nito. When I tried to ask my sensei about it, he said something to the effect of, Nito players die an early death, lots of tsuki. This got me realizing that in other than in Kihon, I don't think most of us are going full strength as hard as we can when we practice ski. I don't know that anyone that's tried ski on me in Jigeko. Is it appropriate to ask sensei to kind of wallop me with one so I can get better and know what it feels like? I guess part of me feels like I have so many other things to work on. Should I just be patient? Thanks again for being a leader in the Kendo community, Andy. Okay, thank you very much. It's very kind words. So let's talk about this Tsubazariai thing. The rules have changed because they don't want people wasting time in Tsubazariai, all right? They don't want people wasting time in Tsubazariai, which is what people were doing. That isn't to say you're not supposed to do Tsubazariai, right? And if you come to Tsubazariai and then you kind of like, what did you say? Like, lean into with the right shoulder, that's not correct. You can't make a strike from that. It's very easy to deal with actually for somebody that's good at Tsubazariai. And like you say, if you use a sort of, I don't know much about judo, but I imagine it's a sort of similar thing. You use their weight against them, yeah? So somebody's pushing on me this side, leaning on me this side. That's very easy for me to kind of, I'd kind of potentially, depends of course, but for example, I'd push back on that side and then suddenly move this way, and I'd say it'd be very easy for me to deal with it, I think, okay? There's a kind of waza called kuzushi waza. Kuzushi means to like, what does kuzushi mean? It means like it's not, like break, kind of break, yeah? And in this case, it's like breaking their posture, and you use your shinai to push on them as you do it. So somebody's pushing on me from this side, I'm gonna push back a second, and then I'm gonna come this way, and I'm gonna use my shinai to do the kuzushi, bam, this way, and they're going to go off balance. So it's not a great strategy to do that, okay? So yeah, you are right in that regard in what you want to do, but you don't want to spend too much time there. You've got like 3 seconds to get a waza, and then you have to separate, okay? But I think you're working on it in the right way, all right? So next one, in terms of Nito, I think, you know, Nito players die an early death, lots of ski. I think there's 2 things here. One is I think a lot of people do give up on Nito after trying it a little bit, because it's not quite what they expect. And I think a lot of people carry on Nito and kind of go off on their own sort of direction away from sort of the core concept of Kendo. And that's not everybody. There's a small number of people that I've met in my life who do Nito in a kind of, whilst also following sort of Kendo. And that goes for like here in Japan too. Like, in fact, like most of the really good Nito players that I know, and when I say good, I'm particularly talking about the correctness of their understanding of Kendo, rather than Shiai results. It's not about Shiai results in my regard, in that sense. And I'm not saying that they're not good at the Shiai results either. Some of them are, but that's not what I'm talking about. They're actually outside of Japan, they're non-Japanese. But of course there are Japanese very good Nito players as well, but most of them are just a little bit kooky and a bit weird. So like they're kind of trying to avoid doing the proper Kendo and using Nito as a bit of an excuse to do it. And that goes for wherever it is. About the question on ski, you're right. Lots of people don't practice ski in Kihon or Keiko. And there is a sort of irrational fear of it, to be honest. And I think it partly adds to the problem with it as well. People perceive it to be dangerous, but it's somewhat dangerous because people do it without practicing it. So I think people should practice it more. It should be practiced more, to be honest. And I think it is a good idea if you want to speak to your sensei about it and say, "Sensei, can I receive the ski from you so I understand what it feels like more?" And I'd like to hear more about how to learn it better. That sort of thing, I think, is a fine way to approach that with your sensei. But I would encourage people to try and practice ski more. Don't just whip it out in Jigeko. You have to try, hopefully, if you have the chance to practice in the, like, Kihon, then it's definitely worth doing. Okay. Next one, can Kendo be used for self-defense? Nope. Only in the sense of... have you seen Enter the Dragon? Like the movie Enter the Dragon, when Bruce Lee gets the guy to go out on the boat. He says, "We'll fight on the island over there," and he gets him to go on the boat, and then he leaves him on the boat and he strands him. It's like, oh, fighting without fighting, like fighting with your mind. Yeah, maybe it's useful in that regard. I don't know. I think, yeah, I'd like to think that pursuing Kendo helps you develop a character that has a tendency to encounter fewer altercations. Let's put it that way. Okay. But is it good at, could you beat someone up on the streets with it? No. It's not the point of it. It's not even good for winning sword fights. So yeah, there's a controversial one for you. Hello, I've heard in the past week different people mention Japanese style Kendo. What does this mean? Do people outside of Japan do a different style, look different, or is it referring to Kumdo? No, I don't think it's referring to Kumdo. I think it's... I don't personally massively like the term Japanese style Kendo, though I do understand why it exists. In my opinion, it's kind of a kind of stand-in term for correct Kendo. To be honest, but that's what I think on it. I think obviously there are some aspects that different, perhaps different countries or different areas their Kendo might look a little bit different for certain reasons. It might be a physiological difference, but I don't think it is. I actually don't think it is. I just think that it's I think because Kendo is Japanese culture, I think by learning Kendo sort of in Japan as a Japanese person or in that environment molds you in certain ways that are reflected in your Kendo. And I think that's why Japanese Kendo sort of comes into that way. And I think the whole Japanese experience of doing Kendo, probably from being a child to being an adult, molds you in a specific way that isn't experienced as much elsewhere. That's my personal sort of thoughts on it, without going too deep into it. What's your opinion on hitting do and removing the left hand afterwards? I believe this kind of strike used to be a bit frowned upon. I once saw a particularly rigid 7th dan scolding a visiting 5th dan for doing it, especially with the raise of the shinai when passing through the opponent. But it seems to now be actively taught as the proper way to do it, shinai raise included. Not sure about that. Anyway, I'm aware that this kind of strike has been pretty common in Shiai for already some time, but do you think there's been a change of attitude towards it? For reference, your opponent, Maru Sensei, attempted a strike in this like this on the Kenkaku tournament. Yeah, I know. Thanks in advance, and hope the YouTube robots and ninjas are properly attracting new people to Kendo. Well, if you're doing the right job, liking, sharing, subscribing, notifying them, then yeah, I'm sure they are. Right, so what you're talking about is when you hit do, particularly Kaishi do, pam pam, this way, about taking the left hand off afterwards, and then there's a habit some people have of raising the shinai up sort of in triumph afterwards. Right. I don't know if it's something that's changed, but for as long as I can remember, it's been generally the feeling that it's okay to remove your left hand briefly after the strike is made, as long as you put it back on afterwards, obviously. And the key thing is that you don't make the strike just with one hand, which is what lots of people do. They just try to hit with one hand. And the raising the shinai up in the air like that tends to be connected to the single hand strike, all right? So people that make the strike with both hands correctly tend not to then bring it up in the air. Not always, it depends, of course, all right? But it is a kind of, symptomatic of that sort of issue, of strikes, door strikes that don't necessarily have proper kentai no ichi. So it means that their body isn't actually making the strike, it's just their hands doing the work. I've got a video coming out very soon about it, actually about Kaishido. It's in the works, it's all filmed, it's all shot. Just needs the finishing touches put in together on the actual technique footage, and then I can film a video of me actually talking about it. It's coming soon, all right? And I'll go into more detail in that. But you are allowed to remove your left hand after striking, but not during strike, okay? And I don't know if that's changed. I can't remember a time when it was told you were not allowed to do that, all right? And that's how I generally do it too. Hi Sensei, I hope all is well. First, I had a question about kata number 6. As you strike do, do you take 3 steps and go to your knee, or 2? Do you have a good resource for this kata? The one I found is pretty old and low quality. Secondly, which side are you supposed to pass on debana kote? I'm sure a lot of it depends on the interaction, but what's the ideal? Thanks. Okay, so you're talking about kata number 7. Okay. Let me just put kata. Number 7. Right. Kata number 7, a good resource for it. The All Japan Kendo Federation videos are good, even though they are old. All right. They are pretty good. All right. I've done a kata video recently. Actually, I think it was the pilot of Kendo 0 to Sandan. So, do you take 3 steps and go to knee, or 2? Is kind of a bit weird, because it's like, depends how you count it, but it's like 1, 2, and you kneel on the sort of 3rd step, I think is the way I would describe it. All right, but you have to watch the video. Other videos that are worth watching are like anything from the All Japan Kendo Federation. All Japan Kendo Championships. If you watch the recent All Japan Kendo Championships, for example, probably last year's, I'm sure there's a video of the kata demonstration. I'm sure there is. Right, they always do a kata demonstration at these championships, and they usually put the video on the All Japan Kendo Federation YouTube. So have a watch of that and see how they do it. Have a watch at the video I've done, the Kendo 0 to Sandan. I've only done 1 episode of it so far. I've got more coming, promise. All right, and see what you make of it. In terms of the debana kote, all right, when you hit debana kote, you can technically go either way. You could go this way to your left, but it's a little bit, like, I wouldn't say it's harder, but it's just less practical. It doesn't come up that much. The general best way, it's not best, but generally the most sort of practical way, is you want to make the strike in front of you. Boom, kote, pokong, kote, like that. Then use the like hirakiashi type style to your right. Yeah, bam, this way, because they're gonna go, man, like that, and then you watch them pass you this way, like that. Yeah, and they'll probably turn as they pass you, you know what I mean? So, you know, bam, this way, like that, to your right, all right? To your right. I realise on the screen I'm moving to the left, but you're watching it from the side of the person hitting men, okay? So, yeah, to your right, okay? Not to your left, all right? Okay, makes sense? Give it a try, okay? If you watch some videos of it as well, it's another one that will definitely come up. So yeah. Okay, next one. Oh, I love this question. Will Iaido and or Jodo complement Kendo? Are we going to set fire to this? Are we going to set the flames burning? Are we? Or are we just going to leave it? I don't think so. Is the answer to that. From my point of view, I don't think so. Right? I don't think so. I do not do Iaido or Jodo. All right? So, I couldn't tell you from experience. All right? But, I mean, there's plenty of excellent kendoka that also don't do it. Most of them don't, actually. Most of the best ones don't. And there's the odd one. I know there's the odd, like, Hatidan that's also, like, Nanadan in Iai or something like that. There's the odd one. There's not many, though. It's not the norm. I'll tell you what as well, like, it's the opposite when it comes to, like, teaching a beginner. And I've said this before, and I know people don't like me saying it, but when you get someone that's, like, done something else, whether like Iaido especially, Jodo could be a potential issue. I've never had to try and teach someone just Jodo because it's not that popular, but at least around where I am, like, trying to teach a beginner that's, like, got some sort of experience in EI, and they're trying to jam it into Kendo, and it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It's not the same. Like, we don't look at it the same way. We don't use the shinai like you use a sword. It's not what it's supposed to be. All right. I know a lot of people want it to be. Yeah. Well, the shinai is not a direct replacement for a katana. It's very clear on that from the Zenkennen. So, yeah, it can be a bit of a pain. Just like it can be a pain trying to teach people that have come from other martial arts as well. You know, like people have come from whatever and they want to stand side on or something because that's a better fighting stance. But, you know, that's where, you know, it becomes an obstacle rather than a help. But, you know, I guess it could complement, like, kata. I'm sure it could complement kata, right? But are you ready for another one? Am I going to drop another bomb? Or should I just leave it? Shall I? I'm going to do it. You don't really need that sort of thing for Kendo Kata either. Kendo Kata's not that hard, let's be honest. Right, okay. Let's move on. Hello, Fish Sensei. First of all, thank you to your team at KendoStar, helping me choose what material for a custom door. Really top-notch service. If that makes it into the final cut, you can tell what kind of mood I'm in. Anyway, about the kata, I mean, not this question. This question's good. Really top-notch service. No, thank you very much. I'm really happy you like the door. Second, having degenerative nerve issue in my left shoulder is making me think of the future, and I'm preparing for less ability, and I started learning Nito audio. Okay, fine. Last training had a sensei give me the idea of doing Katate Migi Jodan. Okay, so Katate Migi Jodan is where, like, I've only got this sort of half-assembled shinai. It's not even mine, it's one of my kids. I think it might be my wife's, actually. It might be Miyuki's. Anyway, Katate Migi Jodan is where you, like, do half of Nito. So you, like, hold the shinai just in Jodan just in one hand. I've met a couple of guys doing that in Japan, actually. There was one sensei in particular. He was an excellent sensei. He was a sensei of one of the best kids dojo in Japan. And he... one of his students is actually an extremely famous player, thinking about it. So anyway, he had a disability in his left arm and couldn't properly. I think it was sort of underdeveloped, if that's the right term. Anyway, he couldn't fully use his left arm, so he did kendo mainly with his right arm in Jodan this way, and he was very, very good. So it is something that people do. I looked up Katate Jodan and got this interesting little video. Even though it is Hidari Katate Jodan, it looks like an interesting option. So should we have a look at the video? I know the video exactly what it is. I know exactly what it is, but I'm gonna put it up. All right. So just give me a sec to bring this up. Okay, so it's not perfectly like aligned and stuff, but you can see it. All right. So I'll just rewind it a bit so we can see the thing. It's not a super long video. So you're talking about here. I don't know if my little cursor's showing up on the thing. Yeah, here. The player here is more like Katate Hasso, isn't it, in a way, right? But this is this guy is super duper famous. Actually, like in high school he was like a superstar. And he sort of dropped off. Now he runs a dojo, I think. But I have met the guy actually. He was less than complimentary about my zekken being written in katakana, so he kind of put my nose out of joint a little bit. But he was a nice enough fellow other than that. I mean, this is what he's doing. He's obviously fighting against Jodan, and this is actually a legitimate tactic against Jodan. But if you've got to be super good at one-hand techniques to be able to do it. I'm skipping ahead a bit so we can find an interesting bit. He's facing the camera now, yeah? So that's what you're talking about. I think he scores a point here. It's crazy fast, isn't it? All right, so I see what he's saying. Where's your question gone? So, that's what we're talking about, is like a katate migi or hidari jodan in that sort of sense, right? Now, where's your questions? Is a nito daito shinai length allowed for this style of katate migi jodan? Nope. You have to use in shiai, you have to use a regulation adult length shiai. Shinai, sorry. It counts as ito, it's not nito. So you have to use the full length shinai. And where lies the possible difference with two-handed Jodan? If I'm allowed to use Nito Daito for Katate Jodan, am I still allowed to allow the occasional Ito Jodan with it, or does it have to be a full 39? So I think we've answered that question, because you have to use the full size 39 Shinai in either case. Also, in my case, the not used left hand on the side, how much is allowed to still be a target? It's entirely allowed to be a target. Or that side of the door. If you're not in Chudan, both of the okote are valid targets. Okay, and they can hit both sides of your door. Yeah. I'd love to hear your opinion on it, and also ideas about working around diminishing left arm capability. I think this is a potential workaround, definitely. This or Nito Ryu. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. At the moment, I'm still able to do Ito, but for the long road of the sword, I already want to prepare. Another question is something I just heard about, that the men's that have shorter mendare and thus easing the Jodan position, slightly sacrificing protection. Does KendoStar provide that option? Yes, we do. Okay, so let's go back to the Katate Jodan thing. It is a possibility. You could potentially do it. I don't see a massive issue with it, especially if you've got sort of issues with your arm. It might even be better for you than Nito, because Nito you still have to use the shoto, right? Whereas the Katate Jodan you could potentially do it that way. It'd be super hard though, super duper hard. But it is allowed, yeah, perfectly valid. But you have to use a full size shinai, and all the targets are valid. About the men, yeah, of course we can do that. Of course we're KendoStar. Yeah, told you that at the start. Of course we can do that. Yeah, you just hit us up. We'll let you know the options. All right. We already make. Some people already request that. We've done it loads of times before. We also make Borga for Naginata. Naginata has specifically shorter mendare as well, because they do this sort of weird stuff with it's not weird. I didn't mean weird. It's weird to a Kendoka, where they move from left to right and stuff like that, I think. I have no beef with my Naginata. I like Naginata, okay? Tried it once. I thought it was cool. So we can definitely do the shorter mendare. Just hit us up and we'll sort that out for you. No problem. Hello, Fish Sensei. Can you please explain the difference between Bokken and Bokdo? If when is more appropriate. I see here Bokken used more with Korean Kendoka and Bokdo used more with Japanese Kendoka. At least that's been my limited experience. Thank you. Okay, so So. They're the same. They're pretty much the same word. What you've got is you've got bokken and bokdo, bokudo. Oh, I can type. Bokuto, bokdo. Okay. The difference is just the word after it. This one is ken from kendo, and this is katana. Okay. They're both equally valid. Generally, the more popular word in Japan tends to be this one, especially for a wooden katana. Okay, tends to be this one. But this one is used as well sometimes. Sometimes you hear it. Burger shops often use this more than they use this one, but sometimes they use this one too. All right, so they're both fine. All right, but yeah, you will hear Japanese people say bokuto more than they say bokken. But it's like it's reasonably interchangeable. All right, it's just this is a more popular word. Okay. That's it. Is it permissible for someone to wear tenuguri during training whilst not in Boga? Yeah, I guess so. Sure, why not? Actually, what a lot of kids do is instead of wearing it like the normal way, before they wear the Boga, what you can do is you can like fold it up into a bandana, what they call hachimaki, and you can wear it that way. That's also perfectly fine way to wear it as well. In fact, what my kids had was my youngest one, when she started Kendo, she didn't do that. They had a specific, they made a hachimaki instead, a white one, and they wrote a name on it. So a name, everyone could see who she was, especially she was new, right? So I had to remember her name. Next one, Sensei, long before I knew KendoStar and the high quality Boga, I bought a lesser quality set of kote. See, you always come back to us in the end. Even after 4 years, the wrists are stiff compared to other kote. Is there anything I can do to them to loosen them up until the time when I can purchase a set of KendoStar kote? We've got kote on sale right now, you know. They're on sale right now. You can get a good price on some good kote right now. I think the Vanguard kote are on sale right now. If you're watching this in the future, you might have missed out though. I heard of people hitting the section of the kote with a rubber mallet. Yeah, you could do that. Try that. You need to put it against like a piece of wood and then get a rubber mallet and you can bash away at them. That should help potentially. But if you've had them for 4 years, I'd be surprised if you'll get them much softer than what they're likely to be honest. But yeah, give them a smack around with a either wooden or a rubber mallet, and you might be able to get a bit more softness out of them with a bit of luck. Okay. Next one, can you talk about Kendo equipment safety? I have in-school programs and a not-for-profit US-based charity that provides Kendo training to at-risk vulnerable youth of financially challenged urban communities. Wow, that's great. We rely a lot on hand-me-down used boga and shinai. We're appreciative of equipment donations, and we do our best to ensure the integrity and safety of equipment as we provide our youth in these programs. We're always very open to review reminders and new information on what to inspect and be aware of for the youth's Kendo gear in our possession. This is probably a lot to cover, but if possible, please speak to Kendo equipment safety if you would. I'm not quite sure what the question is on that, to be honest. The safety things you need to really look at is this on hand-me-down boga is if the softness of the futon and if it's really going to absorb the impact of the strikes. If it's stuff that's pretty battered and old, then then it's worth picking up a few like men pads. We've got them. You don't have to get them from us, but we do have them on KendoStar. We've got thinner ones which don't necessarily affect the size of the men too much. We've got thicker ones if you want to use them to which are useful actually for men's that are a little bit bigger for kids and stuff. And they'll definitely help give them that extra bit of protection. And you get kote pads as well. So I'd probably invest in a few of those and use them as well. Depending on the quality or the sort of state of repair of the hand-me-down boga that you've got. Okay, that's where I'd go on that. Right, last one. We're firing through these. We're firing through them. Sensei, it's Valentine's week. So I wonder if it's a good idea to develop a romantic relationship in Kendo. In Kendo or to Kendo? I'm curious about the romantic relationship within the context of the martial art that often emphasizes discipline and hierarchy. Sometimes two people are about the same age, but one is a sensei to the other, and or has significant higher grade? How would two people find a balance between their personal identities and their roles in the Kendo community? How to prevent the negative impacts on the overall social dynamic, either in the dojo or in the bigger Kendo communities, or in case the relationship didn't work out. I don't imagine how others can cope with this situation. Would you discuss a good first approach to develop this form of intimacy? I think this topic can make an entertaining rant, so I asked if you make a long conversational discussion, it's even better. Thank you very much for the supreme gear and the great content. No problem. So look, I'm no romantic expert, all right? I'm afraid, yeah? I'm sure my wife would tell you. But obviously, right, Miyuki and I do practice Kendo together. So, you know, and we obviously have a romantic relationship at times. So, you know, I do have some experience with that. Now, in our case, it's different because it's not like we have this massive not power, but hierarchy difference. And I think there are issues that have to be considered in that case. I think obviously it's difficult because we're practicing a Japanese martial art, and often outside of Japan, that hierarchy is evaluated in a different way to how it is in Japan. Like in Japan, dan grade is not the central focus of people's, like, in the social hierarchy. It's age, right? So if two people are a similar age, there's not going to be a massive sort of power dynamic between the two of them, even if one's like, let's say one's Jodan and one's a beginner, a Kendo beginner. There's not going to be that expectation on them if they're like the same or similar age. There is obviously going to be that if there's like 10-year age difference though, which sometimes happens too. But I think it is a bit of a minefield, let's be honest. But I think it happens a lot, and I think it works out a lot. I think a lot of people, you know, people meet people in all walks of life, and when you have people who are sharing an interest in something, it's not uncommon for two people, again, who are interested in each other with similar interests to develop a romantic relationship. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either, to be honest. I just think it's important to remember that it has to be handled in the correct way, especially if there is potentially, like I say, a power dynamic there, and nobody's, you know, that is open to abuse, let's be honest, by people who are not necessarily fully versed in their let's say the moral the developments that Kendo has to offer. But I don't think that's a major issue. Having said that, I don't think it's something that I don't think I've really seen it that much. So I don't think that's an issue. But it shouldn't be ignored, is all I'm saying. But I do think as well, I think there's difficulty when, I mean, I know a lot of Japanese couples where both people do Kendo, and they're both often very high level, and even there's times when the you know, like maybe one's higher level than the other, and it could be either way. It's not. It's often the man that's a high level because the woman often will have taken time out of Kendo, maybe to have kids or stuff like that. But it's not always the case. There's plenty of times where the woman is a high level as well, and the you know the interesting thing is they often do Kendo, but not. They often do it sort of separately, because in Japan they can do that, right? They don't have to do it at the same time or together. Or they can both even be the members of the same dojo, but they don't really interact with each other that much at the Kendo. Is also a thing. So it depends. I mean, I think if everybody's an adult and everybody is intelligent and everybody is empathetic with each other's feelings, there's no reason why it can't be successful. Yeah, I don't think there's no reason why it can't be successful, but it does have to be approached with caution, doesn't it? And I don't think it's good. I think there can be issues if there are, because, you know, with romantic relationships and those sort of interpersonal relationships, they're not always love hearts and kisses, are they? There's times where you kind of do each other's head in, and that sort of, you know, that sort of atmosphere is created between two people, and that's not good when that happens in a dojo, because it can affect other people as well. So, you know, you have to be smart, you have to be careful in that regard, and be mindful, I think, is the way to put it. But, you know, I don't think I'm not a person that is like, you shouldn't do it sort of thing, because of course there's the issue, if it doesn't work out, then what's going to happen, you know. And that's dependent on the individuals, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah, I've seen it where, you know, one or both people just leave Kendo. I've seen it where they both carry on Kendo and they remain amicable and friendly with each other. So it could be either way. Okay, so yeah, there is your romantic relationship advice from Andy for this week. Oh, dear me. Okay, there we go. That's the end of the show, folks. Thank you for joining me. Like, share, subscribe. Set out the YouTube ninjas. Set out the ninjas. Shop at KendoStar. And see you next week. Bye-bye.